since I know you're watching. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Zohran Mamdani's historic electoral win as New York City's next mayor is sparking major reaction from Hollywood to Washington, D.C. The 34-year-old Democratic Socialist defeated candidates including former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to be the first Muslim who will lead the country's largest city and its youngest mayor in more than a century. The View weighed in on Mamdani's victory the following morning, with co-host Whoopi Goldberg sharing how she believes the moment is a call for everyone to hold their leaders accountable.
January will begin everybody's term.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for. And hopefully they won't have won and then become people who are not listening anymore. This is where we come in. We must remind everybody who won what their job is supposed to be and why you voted for them. And when it's not happening, it is our right as New Yorkers, as Americans, to say what is happening. I gave you my vote.
Celebrities including Mark Ruffalo and Lupita Nyong'o, who publicly supported Mamdani's campaign, celebrated his win on social media, as Rachel Ziegler, Lauren Jauregui, Chelsea Handler, Spike Lee, Emily Ratajkowski, and more also shared their excitement. Others, however, were less enthused. 50 Cent openly expressed his dismay over Mamdani, posting a graphic of a headstone reading RIP NYC and sharing a video of Mamdani's victory speech alongside the caption, NYC finished. Mamdani is just one Democrat who secured a significant win on November 4th, joining Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger and New Jersey Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill. President Trump reacted to the news on Truth Social, claiming that Republicans may have underperformed at the polls because he, quote, wasn't on the ballot. Mamdani's popularity had surged in recent months following his surprise primary win over the summer, and he'd recently gotten the Saturday Night Live treatment thanks to a guest impersonation from Rami Youssef.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to spend the next hour hearing my opponents pronounce my name in ways you couldn't begin to imagine. And I know some of you are out there scared of the idea of a young socialist Muslim mayor, so allow me to put you at ease by smiling after every answer in a way that physically hurts my face.
The actor and comedian even FaceTimed with Mamdani afterward to show off the spot-on details of his costuming.
Yo! Is that my tie?
Dude, I mean, it's pretty close. We got the tie, we got the rings.
It's a Hollywood production, people. What's going on, everybody? I see you brothers and sisters rolling in the chat pretty quick. We got to chop it up, y'all. Hold on, let me plug my mic up. Mic check, mic check. Y'all let me know by a show of ones y'all can hear me clearly. We got to talk about what's going on, y'all. Because once you can see what's going on in the Matrix, you can't unsee it. It's like WWE, what they're doing to the people. I'm telling you right now. You know, it's interesting. 50 Cent said, RIP to New York, because they are truly about to turn New York into Gotham City, and they using political theater to do it. That's right. Somebody said it's some static in there. Everybody else put to one, like we good. So it is crackling a little bit. Maybe it's too loud. Now, Trump, he goes on national TV and he calls Mamdani a communist. and he has utter disdain for Mamdani. You know, it seems that if anybody's coming from the left, they're public enemy number one. You know, me personally, I go right down the middle. I don't too much care for either side. And I see the whole game that's being played on the people. I see y'all rolling in though. What's happening? What's happening? Brett's in the building. I see TC in the building. Everybody said it cleared up. Gladiators in the house. Okay, okay. Glad to see y'all. Make sure y'all double tap the screen on your way in. Look, we got to go right to Trump. Because this is what they're doing right now. They're using political theater to cause chaos in the places that they want to cause the chaos. In New York, that's top of the list. That's top of the list right now. Listen to what Trump had to say about Mamdani. This is about using the left to demonize any place that they want friction. So you mean to tell me because in a bipartisan system, you have a mayor who just got elected, won fair and square. Now Trump is threatening New York, saying, look, if y'all gonna have this guy as mayor, I ain't funding New York. And listen, we got to understand there's a script that's already been written. They already wasn't going to fund New York. It's millions of dollars that were taken out of New York's infrastructure. Chicago's too. But look, this is the game they play to keep everybody distracted. Look at this.
With state and local elections coming up Tuesday, we asked the president about the highly anticipated mayoral race that includes former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the front
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
I mean, this is all entertainment, y'all. But it's real life consequences. That's the problem. You got these heroes, villains, when they all really are villains. All of them are lying. And when a politician mouth is moving, they're lying. You got to wake up to this. You know, they are all put on by lobbyists. That's who stand the most to gain in all of this. So they're pinning these people against each other. But guess who ends up suffering those consequences? New York residents. The New York residents. Because if they're not getting any federal funding, who has to, suffer the consequences? Now, they got Mamdani reacting to what Trump had to say, and I want to share that with y'all because New York is a pillar in our system. It's our world trade. It's everything. So we have to pay some close attention to this, right? Now, allow me to share with you all what Mamdani had to say.
President Trump endorsing Andrew Cuomo in the New York City mayor's race, just posting on social media this. He says, whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. Well, out front now, Zohran Mamdani, the candidate for New York City mayor. And so President Trump making it very clear here, there's no beating around the bush here. You really have no choice. You must vote for him, Andrew Cuomo. What do you say to that?
Look, this is something that we've been speaking about for months. We've known since the primary that Andrew Cuomo was funded by the same billionaires that gave us Donald Trump's second term. He denied that then. He had a phone call with President Trump trying to coordinate to stop our campaign. He then denied that. And even just until these final days, he denied that he was Donald Trump's preferred candidate. But now it's written out for the entire world to see. This is the man that Donald Trump wants to be the next mayor of New York City. And not because he'll be good for New Yorkers, but because he'll be good for Donald Trump. And New Yorkers are exhausted of this agenda in Washington. They don't want to see a mimic of it come here to City Hall.
Do you think it will help Cuomo at all in the polls? I guess specifically if you assume that Trump's trying to talk to that 15% of people who say they're going to vote for Curtis Sliwa.
You know, we continue to be confident about what tomorrow will look like for us, but I do think New Yorkers must understand that Andrew Cuomo waited until the final day before the election to have this be revealed. He wanted to be able to make the message to Democrats that he was in fact the governor that he said he was, and then right at the last moment, the last opportunity to fully embrace the MAGA movement that we have long said he is tied to.
So Trump also posted, so he endorses Cuomo, okay? Then he also talked about you, referring to you as a communist. I believe last time we talked, I don't know how many times I had of him calling you a communist. That's not new. But he said, if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required.
Damn. Now, I just want y'all to just really consider how immature that is of Donald Trump. Look, the guy won fair and square, but you know what? I don't like the guy. I think he's a communist. And since I believe that, even though we're in a bipartisan system, people going to vote for who they want to vote for, whoever's eligible can run. He gets in, and Trump like, look, I'm going to give y'all the bare minimum. I'm going to give y'all the bare minimum. Now, I just want you to consider what that does, right? Listen, first of all, a land divided can't stand. A land divided can't stand, right? But anyway, that's 1,000% petty. 1,000% petty. Cesar Lopez said it. I mean, come on now. How is this country fitting to thrive with all that's going on when we got antics like this?
To my beloved first home because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. Okay, what do you think that means?
Damn.
Other than the very minimum.
I mean, Trump told you exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna let New York starve out. Now, let's read this again. All right, this is insane. He's talking about, let me just read it. If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimal as required to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. Well, they're definitely not going to survive if they're getting minimal funding. But I need y'all to understand this is all a show. This is all smoke and mirrors. What I really want y'all to understand is when a sitting president openly says he's only going to do the bare minimum for an entire city, that's not politics. This also goes into prophecy and predictive programming. If you look at all of the movies, The Fall of New York, there's so many movies. And list movies in the chat. Feel free to list movies in the chat that predict the fall of New York. Even Batman movies. They're always putting it out there that New York is going to be some type of ground zero, catastrophic place to be located in the final hours of America. And that's what they're pushing for. And they're just finding ways, the creative ways, give you some political theater so they can pull the plug on the funding. See, Trump made it clear. If Zohran Mamdani wins as mayor, which he did, New York shouldn't expect much federal funding. Think about that. The city that was once the heartbeat of America, the so-called Empire State, is now being told by its former son, Donald Trump, New York's own, that look, New York is going to fall. See, that statement ain't just about money. It's about the spiritual divide that's been growing in the entire nation for years. Trump's not even loyal to his home, right? But anyway, let's continue.
This once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. Okay, how
can you as president say that this great city doesn't have no chance of survival? Because you're going to cut the funding. It has nothing to do with the mayor. Let me let y'all in on something. All New York mayors are corrupt. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. Anyway, let's go. Double tap the screen, get the likes up.
What do you think that means? Other than very minimum as required, could be an important clause, I suppose, in that sentence. But if he says unlikely is going to contribute federal funds, I mean, what happens then? What will you do if that's how he goes?
Well, I think you can clearly see that Donald Trump is threatened by our campaign. He's threatened by it because, like his, we've diagnosed the crisis in working class New Yorkers' lives, the cost of living. But unlike him, we're actually going to deliver on that. And that is a contrast that he can't bear to see. Because while he is spending $300 million remodeling a White House ballroom, the same amount of money that could provide SNAP benefits for 100,000 New Yorkers, he's trying to make it harder for Americans across the country to.
I mean, he makes a damn good point there, y'all. I'm talking about millions of dollars on ballrooms, and that could feed hundreds and thousands of New Yorkers right there. I mean, Mamdani makes a point, right? Anyway, let's go.
Actually afford groceries. And this money that we're talking about, it's money that New York City is owed. It's not Donald Trump's to decide which city or state will get what money. This is the money that New Yorkers are owed, and this is the money that we're going to fight for.
Okay, so Trump is not the only one talking about you tonight. Elon Musk is actually talking about you.
What a pair.
And obviously Musk had supported him, was crucial to his election victory. They had their falling out, but they're back together again. Elon posts about you. Remember to vote tomorrow in New York. Bear in mind that a vote for Curtis, referring to Curtis Sliwa, whom I just mentioned, is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is. Vote Cuomo. All right. Why do you think he's speaking out against you? And obviously the personal insult is in there as well, Mamdani.
Look, I think this is one of the more expensive endorsements that Andrew Cuomo has ever gotten, because it took $959 million in tax breaks that he gave Elon Musk for Elon Musk's pet projects back when Cuomo was the governor. And we're seeing the two twin architects of this second term of Donald Trump's presidency, in the president himself and Elon Musk, saying clearly to New Yorkers that their candidate is Andrew Cuomo. And they've picked Andrew Cuomo because they know that he will be the puppet that they want.
I mean, I'm going to have to agree with him right there. Andrew Cuomo been a puppet, and New Yorkers know it too. Andrew Cuomo been nothing but a talking head. He's done nothing for New York. Look, and I don't know if Mamdani is going to do anything for New York either, but he damn sure can't do so much without any federal funding.
Right here in New York City. And he's showing himself to not just be that, but also to be their parrot in the language that he's using to close out this election.
Okay. You talk about billionaires, and there have been some really wealthy individuals who have come out and put money in PACs against you in recent days, right? Former Mayor Michael Bloomberg among them. There are plenty of other business leaders who, in private, are afraid. They have concern. There are very few who actually will talk about it publicly, but one of them is Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, and I'm thinking about this in light of Trump calling you a communist. Jamie Dimon did not call you a communist. He was more intellectual about it. He said, what does he really think? He was part of that socialist democratic thing, which literally is more Marxist than socialist. And I read it, but I don't know what he believes in that. All right.
So this was the CEO of JP and Morgan and Chase. And, I'm going to say this. The powers that be have a uncanny ability of orchestrating anti-heroism, creating these so-called freedom fighters within the system. And they seem to be battling against the powers that be. And really, I don't trust none of them. But nonetheless, Mamdani, who is he connected with? If anybody knows in the chat, inform me on that. I'm pretty new to this guy. I'm going to definitely be doing my research because he's going to be the mayor of New York. But he seems to be the anti-hero here. He seems to be the guy that they're using to fight against the tyranny that's going on. All part of the show, though.
So I guess he's basically saying he's not really sure where you stand on things. But what do you say to that concern? Is Marxist something you're comfortable with?
No, I'm a democratic socialist, and I've said it time and again. When was that quote from Jamie Dimon?
From Jamie Dimon. It was from Fortune last week.
Okay.
A Fortune conference last week.
Because what he's also come out and said in public is that in our success, this is something that business leaders would also hope for the success of the city. And I put that forward to say that despite where New Yorkers may stand on my candidacy, whatever qualms they may have, they know that I'm actually being honest with them about my ideas, about who I'm looking to fight for. And that's sadly unique in this race. Because what you have is someone in Andrew Cuomo who spent the entirety of a primary campaign on the premise that he was the best suited to take on Donald Trump. And here we are with the chyron that Donald Trump is endorsing Andrew Cuomo.
Hey, listen, Trump don't want anybody that he can't control. Now, I'm not saying socialism has worked. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that this guy is going to, make New York great again. I'm not saying any of that. But what I want to really point to is that Trump's words that he's going to give New York City the bare minimum is what should be highlighted. See, they reveal how leadership has become conditional. Meaning, look, if I don't have who I want in here, I'm not going to support the people. See, support is not based on the people's needs anymore in America. That's what's troubling about this. See, it's more so based on who is in power and whether they align with the agenda. Zohran's name may be in the center of all of this, but it's a much bigger picture. It's what I'm trying to get you all to understand. It's a much bigger picture. Let's go.
So let me ask you, because that was October 17th, so it was actually a week and a half ago. But I want to ask you, because you asked me when he said that. Are you talking to him? Are people like that people that you're going to sit down with and eagerly work with, or not?
Look, I'll have conversations with anyone. And I've spoken to Jamie Dimon briefly, and I've spoken to a number of other business leaders across the city about my proposals. I know that there are disagreements around my fiscal policy that
And look, and I might have disagreements with his fiscal policy. I don't know, because I haven't looked into it. But I want to explain this. This is much bigger than Mamdani. See, what we're seeing right now is this. This is an exposure of a system that rewards obedience, but it punishes independence. It's no longer the melting pot it was, where people can have a difference of opinion or different policies. None of that. It's becoming more tyrannical. See, if you don't play ball, then your flow of resources stop. Is that what the Trumpster is saying? See, that's control and governance. That's control. Yeah, that's monarchy. That's monarchy. So you tell me the people starve because I don't like this mayor. I don't believe in what he believes in. So guess what? The citizens of New York must suffer for that. Yeah. And that's why 50 Cent said what he said. Yeah, and Trump is going to follow through. You're going to see New York turn into a hellhole. And that's Trump's homeland. That's his home base. Ain't no loyalty. Somebody tell me where the loyalty at. Let's go, man.
I think we should raise income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year by 2%, or the fact that I think corporations' top tax rate should be matching what they pay in New Jersey. And still, there is room for an immense amount of agreement on what it means to bring the city forward, and I'll always leave that door open.
So let me just ask you about President Obama. I know that you had a conversation with him. What was that conversation about? Your most recent one?
I appreciated the conversation with President Obama, and we spoke about both
the New York Post headline is that he's not endorsing him.
Yeah, well, the New York Post has a lot of fun with their headlines, to put it lightly. It was a conversation where we were speaking about the importance of hope in politics, the delivery of that kind of an agenda, and I also shared with him that the remarks that I had shared outside of a mosque in the Bronx not too long ago was inspired in part by his remarks on race of a more perfect union many years ago.
Hey, ain't Obama Muslim too? Yeah, he's going to be looking out for his people. It's going to be mosque in the middle of the damn Times Square. Being facetious, but yeah.
And I think there is often a tendency in our politics to think solely in a 24-hour news cycle, and the need to sometimes step back and speak to the soul of a city and not just the cycle of that city.
Do you think that he, and he's never endorsed a mayoral candidate, so that's why I'm making the point. Of course, he wasn't going to endorse, but do you feel that he has your back? That because there are plenty in the Democratic Party who are scared of you too, and they don't know whether you're going to succeed or if they're going to sit back and watch. Do you think he's someone who's going to be in there, in it with you?
Well, I appreciated the president offering to be a sounding board, and that's exactly what we see is what the future of these next few weeks and months look like. It looks like speaking to those who've been in these very kinds of positions and putting together a team that reflects the best and the brightest that this city and this country has to offer, and then delivering on this agenda. And that's what actually terrifies Donald Trump and Elon Musk and even Andrew Cuomo the most. It's their fear that we will, in fact, accomplish the things that we have campaigned on.
So basically, you know, Trump. So basically, he's claiming that Trump is afraid of being outshined, pretty much. But I think it's a little bit more ominous than what they're saying. See, New York has always been a symbol of wealth and struggle as well. You know, it's been a city of dreams, a city of decay, and now it's being used as somewhat of a warning. See, Trump calling Mamdani a communist isn't random. It's part of the same script used to divide people, stir up fear, justify withholding support like they're doing with the food stamps or SNAP or WIC. But see, it's fake. It's being shown on TV as this theater, but the message underneath it all is real. The days of relying on government saviors are over. Every city, every community needs to prepare and stand on its own. I'm telling y'all. See, because when the money dries up, the truth of who people really are will show up. That's what it's really about. I see Stephen says he is a communist. Prove it. Prove it. What is Donald Trump? Starts with an F, ends with a cis. So, I mean, what are we talking about? Everybody in politics is something. Everybody in politics is something, y'all. And even the celebrities are speaking up. See, the Republicans, they're afraid of losing power right now, too. That's another thing, like, because they went overboard in a lot of ways. But this mayor-elect, man, these Democrats, they're pushing him all over the place. Somebody put felon. Yeah, man, they pushing this Mamdani guy hard, man. I guess it's their guy. You might see Mamdani running for president. They standing behind this Mamdani dude. Because I'm telling you that the Democrats are on their last leg. This may be their golden child because he's standing up to Donald Trump. And if New York does happen to be successful, oh, this is going to be their golden boy right here. They're going to say he didn't get the support of the president and he turned New York around. He must around be president. But let's see. He's standing up to President Trump.
Of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, congratulations. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
You broke a lot of new ground last night. First Muslim mayor of New York, first Democratic Socialist, first mayor to win more than 1 million votes in, 3 decades, youngest mayor in more than a century. So what is the message? And
I'm going to have to agree. New York is cooked. Yeah, New York is going to get pretty bad soon. When that federal funding get cut, there's already a lot of funding cut, but we'll see.
The mandate behind that.
The message is about transforming the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker. And what New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs gave us last night was a mandate to pursue the most ambitious affordability agenda the city has seen since the days of Fiorello LaGuardia. And it's time that we start to deliver it.
Well, let's dig into that, because you're talking about a rent freeze, you're talking about free buses, you're talking about free childcare. Can you do that without raising taxes?
I think you can do that, and I think you have to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers who make more than $1 million a year, and you do that by raising taxes by them 2%. And then you also increase the corporate tax of New York State to match that of New Jersey. So that takes us from about 7.25 to about 11.5%, which is what we see in New Jersey. These things together raise about $9 billion, which more than pays for our economic agenda and also starts to Trump-proof our city.
But are you worried that could drive a lot of job creators out of New York?
So what I've heard from a number of business leaders is that the affordability crisis is also affecting their ability to attract and retain talent. The city's inability to provide childcare means that businesses often have to provide stipends for that childcare. Right now, the absence of universal child care means that a family will pay around $22,500 a year, which is more money than many of them would spend if they sent that same kid to college 18 years later. And it is time for city government to actually step up to the responsibility that it has.
Yeah, and that may be another reason why Trump is targeting this guy, because when it comes to tax breaks, y'all know who's affected by that. Them billionaires. Yeah, them billionaires get affected by that. You know, God forbid you get some tax breaks to everyday citizens, you're gonna put a target on your back. This country is ran by greed, man. Straight up greed.
It's just the city government. That kind of a tax increase is going to require the state as well, including the governor, Kathy Hochul. Is she on board?
You know, I'm proud to have Governor Kathy Hochul's endorsement and the endorsement of our agenda, specifically universal child care. And I've said time and again, I think these are the two most direct and straightforward ways to raise this revenue. If there are other ways to raise this funds, the most important thing is that we actually fund this agenda. You
said that President Trump was watching you last night. It appears that he was watching you. And it also appears that he and other Republicans are trying to make you the poster boy of the Democratic Party. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, calls you a true extremist and a Marxist. And he says now every House Democrat incumbent and candidate will co-own Mamdani's disastrous record in the 2026 midterms. How do you?
Yo, they're pretty much propagating and promoting this Mamdani guy low key. I told y'all it's anti-heroism. You know? See, we're in a time where the Most High is really allowing the veil to be lifted. See, the rich and the powerful, they're pretty much saying out loud what they used to whisper behind closed doors. They're telling you straight up, we're going to do the bare minimum. And that right there should wake up every soul. See, the Bible says in Jeremiah 17:5, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. If that don't apply right now, I don't know when it will. Now, I ain't saying this is a time to panic, but it is a time to prepare. It's a time to build. It's a time to unite. It's the time to really open your eyes and see that, there's a lot of politics going on. And the media is full of it. But let's go.
You respond to that?
Well, I'm looking forward to showing the power of an example here in New York City, an example of what it means to not just diagnose the despair in working people's lives as the cost of living crisis, but to deliver on it. And that's the contrast between myself and President Trump. He's someone who ran an entire presidential campaign on the promise of cheaper groceries and is now, as the president, making it harder for Americans to afford those groceries by cutting SNAP benefits.
You worried he's going to crack down on New York City, maybe even do what he's done and tried to do in Portland and other cities, call the National Guard in?
I think that his threats are inevitable. I also know that it's time we actually call this for what it is. This has nothing to do with safety. It has to do with intimidation. If it was safety, President Trump would be threatening to deploy the National Guard to the top 10 states of crime, 8 out of which are all Republican-led, but because of that party, he won't actually be doing so.
So you say you won't be intimidated. How do you stand up to it?
I think there's a number of ways. The first thing is you actually utilize the courts. You stop treating things as being law just by virtue of the fact that President Trump is saying them. You can look at the example of California, where you find the Attorney General, the governor, and the mayor of LA coming together, filing a lawsuit in opposition to the deployment of the National Guard. A federal judge found in their favor, and the Attorney General estimated that for every dollar they spent, they recovered more than $30,000 in funds that would have otherwise been seized by the federal government.
How about crime? Have you convinced Commissioner Tisch to stay on the police commissioner?
I've made my decision to retain Commissioner Tisch, and I've done so because Eric Adams had stacked the upper echelons of the NYPD with incompetence and corruption. She came in, started to tackle that, deliver accountability, and reduce crime across the 5 boroughs. That is what we would build upon under a Mamdani administration, in addition to creating a Department of Community Safety to tackle the mental health and homelessness crisis head on.
Is any New Yorkers in the building? What do y'all think about this guy? If there's any New Yorkers in the building, let me see by show of ones. And talk to me. What do you think about Mamdani's proposals, tax breaks, promise to battle against homelessness? I mean, it's the same damn thing we hear from all of them, but are y'all choosing Trump's side in this situation? What do you New Yorkers think? How you New Yorkers even feel about Trump? I see some New Yorkers in the building. Salute to all the New Yorkers. Talk to me. It looked like a lot of New Yorkers may be in support. If you end up support, put a flame emoji if you support Mamdani. I mean, I just want to see where y'all at. Or put a frying pan if New York is cooked, because Trump gonna make sure it's cooked. Kevin Fitzpatrick says, talk is cheap. I agree. You know, what I'm more so focused on is the fact that Trump is saying he ain't going to support New York. You know, that's kind of crazy to me. See, the world systems seem to be crumbling. Ain't about left or right. It's about right and wrong. How about that? It's about seeing the signs and knowing the Most High, separating the faithful from the fearful. See, the warning has been given. And now, you know, we just got to move different. Yeah, you gotta put that frying pan up, because if New York is cooked. Man, I'm telling you.
You've made your decision. Has she made hers?
I am looking forward to continue to having conversations with her and to assembling a government of the best and the brightest to deliver on this agenda.
You know, last night you also said you wanted to reach out to New Yorkers who didn't vote for you. Probably highest on that list is Jewish New Yorkers. It looks like there was about a 30-point gap, according to the exit polls, between you and former Governor Cuomo. How do you convince those voters that your vision of New York includes them and your victory is not a threat to them?
You know, I was on the M57 not too long ago, which is the slowest bus in New York City, 4.9 miles an hour. And I was seated next to a woman who introduced herself to me as a speech therapist. And she told me that she was Jewish, and she said that her daughter is a huge fan in phone banks from college and that she wasn't so sure. And I asked her to share, and she shared her thoughts about what it also means to be Jewish in New York City today, and the scourge of anti-Semitism that often worries her, that she was trying to sell her apartment. A realtor told her to put away, in her words, the Jewish books on her bookshelf. And I told her that this was unacceptable, that we were fighting for a city that didn't just protect Jewish New Yorkers, but celebrated and cherished those same New Yorkers. And I'm looking forward to being the mayor for every single person that calls the city home, and showing that my job is not to remake City Hall in my image, but rather in the image of struggling New Yorkers. And that means New Yorkers will find themselves and their struggles in people who have decision-making power across my administration.
You know, I want to share a couple of scriptures here. You know, that's what we do on this platform. We weigh everything through the parameters of the text. And I want to go to Isaiah 17:5, where it says, "Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord." See, the same way people trusted in Donald Trump is the same way that the Democrats are going to trust in Mamdani. And every time you put your trust in man, you're going to be disappointed. People thought that Donald Trump was going to come in and release the Epstein files. He didn't do that. People thought Trump was going to come in and create jobs for Americans. He spent $500 billion on replacing jobs with AI. People thought Trump was going to come in and lower the price of groceries and gas. He hired the price of groceries and gas. People thought Trump was going to come in and cut taxes for working class citizens. Donald Trump came in and increased taxes for working class citizens. So the same way people put their trust in Donald Trump, there's always a new sucker born every damn day. And they're ready to energy harvest off the next person so you could put your trust in them. Right? They're going to put, it's all shenanigans. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. See, this speaks to nations and cities looking to government systems instead of, Most High's deliverance and provisions and salvation. That's where we're at in this land. People always consistently turn into man and their systems and their political games and all of what they play on us. And, you know, I just find it necessary to spread this message. Micah 3:11, verse 12. The heads of the judges, the heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets therefore divine for money. Yet will they learn upon the Lord? Will they lean upon the Lord and say, it's not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. Therefore shall Zion, for your sake, be plowed as a field. See, leaders driven by self-interest. And what does that do? It brings judgment to the people. See, today's system is based on profit, not justice. I'm sure Mamdani has very rich lobbyists and, you know, same thing with Trump. So as New Yorkers out there, my advice is, you know, find your ways outside of the cities, highly concentrated areas. Stay prayed up, because blessed you will be in the city as well if you are on point, if you got a relationship with the Creator. You know, Psalms 146:3 says, put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. And that very day, his thoughts shall perish. Every political promise is temporary. The true help and justice comes from the heavens. And I'm going to share with you another scripture, the last scripture, and we can finish off hearing what Mamdani got to say. But Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Until God's rightful people, the foundational Black Americans, also known as the tribe of Judah, the biblical Israelites, whatever you want to call us, those of the diaspora, until we are in control and leadership, oh, the earth is going to mourn, and this country going to mourn. That's right. Anyway, let's go.
A lot of that during the campaign, but it didn't seem to work with this group of voters. What more can you do now?
Well, I think there are a lot of voters for whom the trust comes from the actions that you actually take. Many have, have understandably been disappointed by politics and the promises that have.
Okay, somebody said something very interesting. They said Zohran, Mamdani's campaign was funded completely grassroots. I'm having a hard time believing that. I'm going to do my brief research on that. Hold that thought, and we're going to find out who funded them.
Made by many before me. Now my opportunity is actually to deliver as the next mayor of the city.
I was struck by a tweet that came out last night on X from Bill Ackman, who was one of your biggest opponents in the campaign. Billionaire, spent a lot of money trying to defeat you, but he did congratulate you and say he wants you to call.
So they said it was a billionaire that spent a lot of money trying to defeat him. So who's backing Mamdani? Let's find out.
Calling him to help New York. What are you going to call on him to do?
Well, I appreciated his words, and I think what I find is that there is a needed commitment from leaders of the city to speak and work with anyone who is committed to lowering the cost of living in the city, and that's something that I will fulfill.
Thanks for coming.
All right, let's go ahead and answer that. Okay, so who's funding Mamdani? It's the PAC. It says his campaign benefit from his funders and supporters. Let's go here. His campaign benefited from the city's public campaign finance system. All right. So it's the city funding him. In one filing period, Mamdani received over $2.8 million in matching funds after raising $640,000 in qualifying contributions. The PAC New Yorker for low costs supporting Mamdani reported raised $1,566,480 from 10,000 plus individual donors, with average online donations $46.46. Some real estate related donors about 19. I would say this is pretty damn grassroots. If you're saying far left grassroots, like a network of far left grassroots groups. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful with that word grassroots. No, the FBA movement is grassroots. The Israelite movement is grassroots. The Black Panthers is grassroots. Now, when you have a left, when you have several far left and grassroots groups in conjunction with the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, who reportedly poured millions of dollars worth of expertise, manpower, and sweat equity into his campaign. And that's according to the New York Sun. Yeah, I wouldn't call this grassroots. I wouldn't call this grassroots. But that's a nice play on words, though. Let me see. Thank you for the 10 euros for the support. Let me read that super chat. It says, evil system. People should ask God for discernment and for spiritual wisdom and insight, enabling one to distinguish truth from falsehoods, good from evil, and God's will from one's desires. Absolutely. Agreed. Yes, I agree. Let me see. JJ says it's crazy Soros and wealthy you know who's back much of this craziness. Of course, Israel is backing Ukraine, who literally harbors the new Nazi party. The world has gone crazy. You have no idea who to trust. Well, you can trust God. You can trust the Most High. Yeah. And Trump is just absolutely livid about all of this. Trump is completely pissed off. He said some outlandish things in recent news regarding Mamdani. Wait one moment. But Mamdani seems to be pretty much standing strong against Trump. It's all part of the political show. Yeah, somebody, Ash Floor says Trump is pissed. Y'all got to see this. It's like this stuff is kind of entertaining because you already know. You already know. Hold on, let me pull this up for y'all. So 13 hours ago, this is what Trump had to say in regards to Mamdani. Maximilian says, I subscribed. Hey, welcome to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right. Hold on one moment. All right, here we go.
Tonight, it was, not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot. If you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans, and that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that. But countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increasing strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it up. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit. It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3 1/4. We have 3 1/4 years, so that's a long time.
Well, hey, this was right after Mamdani won, so I don't know. Maybe they mistitled this. But nonetheless, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with this. Put your trust in the Most High. Of course, I'm going to have more material coming. If you're new to the platform, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know down in the comment section you're not a bot. And look, we're going to connect real soon. I will be back to, my regular scheduled programming here on Nubreed Global Truth. Let me just read a couple of y'all comments. Normally, I go on for about an hour, and I do see people still coming in and out. Let me see. Read some of y'all's comments. James Stoddard says, Mamdani hasn't even been accused of SA, and he think he'll fit in. Sheesh. That's a shame where you got to be accused of SA to fit in politics. Man, what time are we in? Somebody says he's such a liar about the economy. Yeah, Trump is full of it, man. Trump is leveraging hunger right now. I would say the whole system is leveraging hunger for political power. Miss Lady says, I missed the speech. What was he saying? Well, you may have to, watch this on playback. Just go back and watch the entire stream so you can be in the loop. Somebody says, not a bot, Nubreed. Crazy work with these people. I'm at work. Can't wait until I'm done working for this system. I know that's right. Yeah, New York has so many movies about its fall, its downfall. And now Trump has said, look, he going to give New York the bare minimum. Like, look, I don't like the guy that won mayor, so I'm going to make the people suffer. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. But nonetheless, man, I will talk to y'all, chop it up with y'all a little bit later. More material coming. Thanks each and every one of y'all for watching. Y'all be blessed.